So last time we wrapped up the conversation about uh, slavery and what the Bible says on it, and I think we covered that and kind of beat that dead horse. But we touched on something that I think needs to be talked about a little bit more. We talked about discipline and the fact that the world is rather intolerant to the idea of discipline, and that's to be expected. I mean, I don't think anybody is surprised that the world outside the church is is unwilling to be disciplined. What I think people are surprised by, uh, maybe not, is that it's very present inside the church as well. Um, yeah, the church just doesn't. There's so many inside the church that don't like the idea of discipline, also, and that is very apparent in that in seeing people who church hop all the time. People leave churches and go to different churches, or leave churches and decide that I don't have to go to church to be a Christian because what they call church hurt. The church hurt is so rampant in Western culture because, well, first of all, you didn't experience church hurt; you experienced people hurt. Um, it's not the church that hurt you; it's people that got under your skin. It's people that bothered you. But more often than that, it's not even church hurt or people hurt that bothered you. Really, I think most of the time what happened is you got corrected because you were doing something wrong and you didn't want to change your lifestyle. You didn't want to accept that, hey, I'm not living right. And so I'm just going to go find a church that doesn't try to fix people. I'm going to go find a church that tells me I can live a sinner's lifestyle and still be a Christian. And until I find that church, I'm just going to hop around until I find one that'll tell me that. So, you know, um, be offended. That's fine, but no, you're wrong, and that's the truth of the matter. See, the real fact of the matter is this: someone who has had that transformative experience with Jesus actually becomes changed and wants to be a different person. It's not that you are trying to be something you're not; it's that you become something you weren't. And if you aren't changed and aren't drawn to be different and drawn to be corrected and to be something you weren't before, then you haven't really had that experience and you aren't really a different person. And, well, quite frankly, aren't really a Christian. You can call yourself something all you want. You can go sit in your garage and call yourself a sports car, but you're not. So sitting in church and calling yourself something that you're not doesn't really matter. Bouncing from church to church to church looking for someone who's going to tell you that you're okay when you're not is not going to make you different. You have to actually go and become that thing. And the only way to do that is to take the time to stay somewhere that makes you uncomfortable, that offends you, and live with that offense until you get to a place that you can release your control and let God change you and get to the foot of the cross and give up your control of your life and let Jesus change who you really are. That's the only way that you're going to ever have that transformative experience and then become moldable and changeable into the person that He intended you to be. That's the only way that the church hurt stops and you become open to the correction that you really actually need in your life. Otherwise, you're just going to move around and screw it up everywhere you go, because there's a saying: if you ever find a perfect church, don't go there. You'll mess it up. Because as soon as you go there, as soon as any of us go there, we're imperfect. And we're going to screw up the perfect church, because human beings, we ain't got it right. We're never going to have it right this side of heaven, because we're not perfect. There is no perfect church because they're all filled with imperfect people. And that's the problem, is we all need correction. We all need to be fixed from time to time. And yeah, there's those people who are going to lean on the whole, oh, well, don't judge me, the Bible says not to. Yeah, you're talking about Matthew chapter 7 in verse 1. And a lot of people like to throw that around because they don't bother to go on and read through verse 5. Because if you go ahead and read through verse 5, yeah, they like to go on and, oh, well, verse 1 says, don't judge, because by the manner you judge, you will be judged yourself. And you can even go on beyond that, and it says, why do you worry about the speck in your brother's eye when you don't see the plank in your own eye? And, oh, well, that sounds good too. I can use that against somebody. But then you go on a little further, and it says, first remove the plank from your own eye, and then you can see to remove the speck from your brother's eye. See, it actually says we should help each other to be better, but we need to worry about the fact that we need to be better as well. It says clean up your own house and then help your brother clean up his house as well. It does say to correct each other. It actually says that. It does say we need to help each other to grow and help each other to get better and correct each other. Matter of fact, if you go a little further in Matthew, to Matthew chapter 18, round about verse 15 to 17, it actually tells us how to properly correct each other. It says, hey, if your brother does something to you, then you need to go to him one-on-one. Or her, if your sister does something, But if it says if somebody does something to you, you need to go to that person one-on-one and you need to talk to them. You need to tell them, hey, you're doing something wrong. You messed up. And if they won't listen to you, then you need to take a couple other people with you. And y'all need to go to them and talk to them as a small group, not gang up on them, but just as a caring group. You need to go to them and talk to them. And if they won't hear those people, then you need to talk to the church. And if they won't listen to the church, at that point, then you need to treat them as the Gentiles and the tax collectors. And that, well, I interpret that a little different than other people. That doesn't mean that you toss them out and you expel them and you don't talk to them anymore. That means, yeah, maybe you dial them back out of their leadership positions. Maybe you don't let them be face forward in the church and doing all the things that they were doing before. But maybe you back it up and you say, all right, you need to start over. You need to go back to your first acts. And we need to start retraining you because maybe you didn't get it before. That doesn't mean expel them. That means we got to go back to the beginning and get remedial with you a little bit and retrain you because something didn't take the first time. But there's actually protocol for how to correct. So if don't judge me, the Bible says not to, is true, then why would there be protocol for how to correct just a few chapters later? Right? So if you're offended by the fact that somebody corrected you, that just says that just talks more about how you're wrong for being wrong and wanting to keep that wrong than that they're wrong for wanting to lovingly tell you, hey, you need to do better. We need to fix this. We need to get ourselves right amongst ourselves because we need to do better. So you can run around and mess up all the churches with all your stupid, or you can get rid of your stupid because we don't need to keep carrying that around with us. I had to get rid of mine, and I still have to be reminded of that sometimes. I have, in the words of Paul, I don't consider that I have attained perfection, but I strive continually until the day that I do get it. And that ain't going to be here. That's going to be in the next life. But I continue daily on the path. Some days better than others. Most days, I need a kick in the pants. But I keep working. You need to do the same. You ain't got it. You ain't there yet. You ain't gonna be, but you need to keep trying every day. Because the minute you quit trying is the minute you start going backwards. Love you guys. Talk to you next time. Let's move forward. Let's accept the correction in a loving and gracious way. Let's offer the correction in a loving and gracious way. Because remember, when you're correcting somebody, you probably need it too. Talk to you next time.